Hi there everyone, welcome back to Dragon Earth. This is Thomas Eubank, showing you progress of the game so far. Last episode we added in the orcs, but there's some new things in this episode, namely the hill giant you see before you, as well as more orcs of course, and goblins, and orcs that are riding wolves. Here I am committing suicide like some kind of an idiot, charging the entire army like the charge of the Light Brigade or something. Think that I'm invincible. And as you can see, my health on the bottom left is almost out. And yeah, there I go, I'm dead. Rest of the video, you're going to see how all this got made. We're in Blender right now. And in Blender is a 3D modeling program I use. It's open source, it's completely free. It came out in 1995. It's really old. It's gone through a lot of versions, and people are always asking me, why are you using an older version of Blender? Why are you using 7.9 or 2.7? They'd ask me. So you see, what happened was, right when I learned Blender in 2019, I learned all the ins and all the outs of Blender, and then they changed it all on me. I didn't know where anything was anymore. I didn't know how to do anything anymore. I asked my cousin about this, and he said at his job, he worked on Last of Us, by the way, that they still use older versions of the programs because they don't want to relearn everything too. So because he told me that they still use outdated versions of their programs because they don't want to relearn everything, I kind of came to the realization, yeah, if the professionals do it, then I'm probably right in my decision. So I'm coming close to finishing making the goblin here. I kind of wanted to make him cute. I wanted to make him cute, but also something that you wouldn't mind killing. Here I'm doing his animating work. You're going to see a lot of this in the video. I made it to where you can open his mouth, so I make a lot of use out of that in his animations. Because he's short, I have him turn the bow sideways whenever he shoots. I really like this animation. I think it worked out pretty well. I'm still working on projectiles in the game. You'll see it later. And here they are in the game. After working on them on Blender for a day or two, I got them into the game, and using the class system, it was really easy to just get them in. I don't even remember making that animation where they fall on their butt, but I'm really glad I did it that way. The way they fall on their butt like that is perfect. Now I'm making the wolf. So everything begins with just cubes, lots and lots of cubes. I forgot to use the clipping on the mirror modifier there. Using loop cuts and resizing things. Loop cuts you do by hitting Control R. You can extrude things by hitting E. You can sculpt things like a wolf. You'll see it'll begin to look more and more like a wolf as the video goes on. Here I'm shaping his head more, working out his ears and stuff. It's hard to know what to include and what not to include. Mainly because there's so much footage, and also it's hard to record and work at the same time because there's only so much room on my computer. So you're getting the most important stuff. I didn't end up using that tail. I ended up redoing his tail. As you can see, it has a bit of an issue with it. Here I'm UV unwrapping. So basically I mark seams. That's a red lines right there. And it's kind of like you take an origami piece and you flatten out to a flat shape. And when you do that, you can then paint. And it takes whatever is in that flat shape there, that flat image, and it puts it onto the faces that are assigned to it. And that's how you're able to texture objects in Blender. Making his red eyes. I had a lot of trouble with the wolf. I made a fur texture that I painted with, and it didn't end up working out so well. I mean, it kind of looks okay right here, but next time I do this, I'm going to try a few other things. There, I made his ears. So now I added in the orc because it's kind of complicated when you have something riding a mount. I actually created a export variable for it, making sure that his legs work. First time I did this, it was all screwed up, so I made absolutely sure that I got it all working. Here I got him pawing. That's one of the attack animations I made for him. I also made a biting animation. Here's his running animation. There's the orc riding him. The orc looks a lot better on Godot. Here the orc is being dismounted. Right now the entity just Q freeze whenever he dismounts, but that won't be the way it will be in the final game. And here I created these 2 attacking animations. I didn't end up using that one. I ended up using this one instead. And here he is in the final game, or not in the final game, but in the game as it is right now. Not giving him a chance to hit me. I gotta program the player to play the damaged animation whenever he gets hurt. That would balance things out better. You also notice in the bottom left that whenever I get hurt, that little shield gets deteriorated. That's my health meter. I decided to do it that way just because, I don't know, it's kind of creative, arts and crafty. Kind of matches the style of these games so far that we're creating. These orcs here give me a run for my money as they nearly kill me several times in the footage, but I end up getting them instead. And now you're going to see how I made the hill giant. Again, I began with just simple shapes, cubes. Cut it in half, destroy half of it, add the mirror modifier, hit clipping. I only move things in the edit mode or else the origin moves. I just shape things. I hit Control R, create loop cuts, shape it into a face. Here I'm making his body. If y'all want to see more of how I create the models, let me know in the comments section below. Extruding that, I hit E in order to extrude the parts that are going to become his arms over there. And here I'm making his waist and upper legs. I hit Control R to make that loop cut, and then I select those vertices there and hit E, and then I extrude the legs. Here I'm making this backpack thing that I put on his back. It's kind of a backpack, but for a giant, and there are going to be goblins inside of there, making the crenellations. It's kind of a tower, and they're going to shoot at you. You'll see how it will work. But yeah, right there, you see it's kind of a tower backpack, some kind of like what you'd see on an elephant. And the enemies will shoot at you from in there. I kind of screwed up on the UV unwrapping for the body, but then I corrected it. And I wanted to make sure to always have room around things. It's really easy to accidentally make it to where you end up with, I don't remember the word for it, but you basically have these white lines all over your model, and it's really ugly. A lot of people complain about that, so I always do my best to avoid that problem. So here I'm painting the hill giant's head. I was originally going to try to make his hair look all greasy with that white, but ended up instead using the color brown. They always look terrible at first, but it just takes slow refinement, and eventually they end up looking really good. They actually kind of look good when they're basic, but I don't want them to look all too basic. The art style that I'm going for is, even though it's low poly, I still want to have a good amount of detail on this guy's. Here I'm making his torso. I give him a huge belly button. This guy needs to go on the keto diet here. And it kind of is, you know, it makes me think of Weird Al's I'm fat, and really, really fat. If you've ever seen that album. You just really don't want this guy to fall on you. It feels like he's going to crush you or something. It's kind of scary, actually. There's his chest hair. Hold your nose. He's had too many potatoes or something. But there he is, completely textured. I'm going to show you his backpack, his tower backpack. There it is. All textured, all ready for the game. He just needs to be animated at this point. I also put a lot of mud on his feet, if you notice. So there are the bones for the armature. That dotted line between them means that that bone, even though it's not connected, will follow the other bone. So basically, the arms and legs here that I'm going to put here, I'm going to name them like arm1.l, and L stands for left, or leg1.l, which stands for left, or foot.l, hand.l. And what happens is that I highlight all these, I select all of them, I hit W, and then I hit symmetrize. And on the opposite side, there will be leg1.r, arm1.r. The R stands for right. Right? So L stands for left, right for R for right. Making sure that every bone works properly. Every bone operates what I want it to do. I should have done more of the tower's bone, but whatever. But now he's getting animated. Here's his first iteration of the running animation. I ended up having to work on it more. His idle animation. Whenever he whacks you, I kind of imagine him like whacking a bug. What that's like. Kind of takes a moment to try to make sure he's going to hit you. There he is dying. You kind of want to avoid getting crushed by him, I imagine. Just going to fall right on top of you. And here, alright, so I want him to push things. For example, the siege towers. The HillGiants are going to push the siege towers when they're put in. Here he gets hit, and whenever he gets hit, he kind of jumps on one foot, kind of like you've stubbed him in the toe. and I don't know, it's just trying to be kind of funny with the animations, but that's basically it. That's all I have for right now. This was Thomas Eubank, making Foxhood set in the Dragon Earth universe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Adios.